Look, life doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for your doubts, your fears, or your excuses. It moves forward with or without your consent. And most of us live as though we have time to figure everything out later. We think tomorrow will be easier. We tell ourselves we'll change when circumstances force us to. But the truth is this: waiting for life to push you, to corner you, to leave you no choice, is a form of surrender. A quiet acceptance that you are not in charge of your own destiny. Think of it this way: life is indifferent. It doesn't care about your comfort, your plans, or your expectations. Pain will come, loss will come, failure will come. But here's the lesson the Stoics teach us: pain is not the enemy. Unpreparedness is. When you wait for life to shape you, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to chaos. You let circumstances dictate who you become. Epictetus said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Both of them pointed to one clear truth: if you do not consciously transform yourself, life will transform you, and that transformation will rarely be gentle. It will be relentless. It will strip you of illusions and force you to confront yourself, whether you are ready or not. So here's where we begin, right here, right now, before life forces you to change, before circumstance drives you into corners, before regret becomes the loudest voice in your mind. You choose. You choose to look inward, to examine the habits, the thoughts, the fears, and the illusions that quietly control your life. You choose to face discomfort, not because it's coming, but because it is the pathway to freedom. Because transformation, real, lasting transformation, isn't found in comfort. It isn't discovered in waiting for the perfect moment or in hoping that life will treat you kindly. It is forged in deliberate effort, in calm clarity, in the small but relentless choices you make every day. And the sooner you step onto that path, the more life will bend to your will, rather than break you against its tides. So take a moment now. Breathe, listen, and understand this: every day you delay, life inches closer to forcing you into change. Every day you wait, the world sharpens its lessons in ways that might hurt more than they need to. But the power is in your hands. The choice is yours. Transform yourself before life makes the choice for you. Before you can transform, you must first look at yourself clearly. Not the self you show the world, not the self you hope to be, but the raw, unpolished reality of who you are right now. Marcus Aurelius called this self-examination, and it is the foundation of all growth. He wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always rise if you will always look. Think about your mind as a mirror. If the mirror is fogged, you cannot see clearly. You cannot know what habits, fears, or lies obscure your vision. You may think you are strong, but illusions of strength are dangerous. They allow weakness to hide. They let procrastination live comfortably, and they allow excuses to whisper in your ear, convincing you that life is someone else's responsibility. Transformation begins by wiping that mirror clean, by sitting quietly and asking yourself the difficult questions: where am I weak? Where am I dishonest with myself? Where am I hiding from reality? These are not questions to answer lightly. They are questions to stare at with courage, and the answers will not always be easy to hear. You may find fear, laziness, pride, envy, or bitterness lurking beneath your everyday behavior. You may realize you have tolerated far too much, settled for far too little, or allowed others to dictate your path. But here is the key: the moment you see it, you gain power over it. Awareness is not judgment, it is freedom. Once the mirror is clear, you no longer live blindly. You begin to see the patterns in your life, the choices that lead to suffering, and the thoughts that keep you small. And only when you see clearly can you begin to change deliberately, with intention, and with the calm resolve that the Stoics call virtue. Remember, transformation is not about perfection. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about honesty. It is about clarity. It is about seeing who you are so you can consciously become who you are meant to be. And every day that you delay this self-examination is another day that life shapes you in ways you may regret. So ask yourself now, are you ready to look? Are you ready to confront yourself? Are you ready to hold your mirror up and face the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be? Because this is where transformation begins, not in action, not in circumstance, not in luck, but in clarity. In the unflinching, calm observation of your own mind. Now that you've begun to see yourself clearly, there is a truth you must accept. Growth will never come from comfort. Life's easiest path is rarely the one that strengthens you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that hardship is not a curse but a tool, and Epictetus taught that obstacles are the raw materials of virtue. Every challenge you resist, every discomfort you avoid, is a lesson left unlearned. Discomfort is not something to flee from. It is the voice of life urging you to awaken. That anxiety you feel, that fear, that sense of unease, it is not weakness. It is guidance. It is life saying, here is the place where you can grow if you are willing. The Stoics called it amor fati, the love of fate, to embrace what life places before you, even if it is difficult, even if it tests you, is to claim mastery over yourself. Most people fear discomfort and shrink from it. They avoid the difficult conversation, the challenging task, the lonely hours of reflection, and the painful truths about themselves. And in avoiding, they shrink. They give away their potential to life, letting circumstance shape them instead of choice. But you, if you choose to act, you will see discomfort differently. You will recognize it as a signal, a guidepost pointing toward growth, resilience, and the freedom that comes from self-mastery. Transformation is forged in these moments. It is quiet, unseen, and sometimes painful. You may feel the urge to quit, to hide, to soften your resolve. That is the exact moment to lean in. Step into the discomfort deliberately. Face it with calmness, with intention, and with the understanding that life's hardest lessons are also the most valuable. Because in the end, life will not hand you strength. It will not gift you resilience. These are earned through persistence, through embracing the struggles that others avoid, and through the quiet, unrelenting choice to grow before circumstance forces it upon you. Transformation does not arrive in grand moments. It does not appear as a sudden epiphany or a dramatic upheaval. It is quiet. It is subtle. It is the accumulation of small, deliberate choices made day after day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are not just advice, they are a blueprint. Every choice you make, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is a vote for the person you are becoming. Ask yourself, how do you start your day? What thoughts do you allow to take root in your mind? What habits do you cultivate without question? Each moment is an opportunity. Each breath is a chance to decide whether you will act with purpose or drift passively through life. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from discipline, from choosing your actions with intention rather than being swept along by impulses or circumstance. So begin with the small things, the way you speak to yourself, the thoughts you entertain before the world demands your attention, the patience you show when frustration rises. These moments may seem minor, but they shape the foundation of your character. Transformation is not sudden because character is not sudden. It is built slowly, deliberately, like the slow layering of stone upon stone until a mountain emerges from the plain. And there will be resistance. You will feel the pull of old habits, the weight of comfort, and the seduction of excuses. These are natural. The human mind seeks ease, seeks distraction, seeks to avoid responsibility. But each time you resist, each time you choose clarity over chaos, discipline over indulgence, you expand the boundaries of who you are. You begin to shape yourself with conscious intention rather than waiting for life to shape you through pain, loss, or regret. Remember, the most dangerous enemy is not life itself, but passivity. Waiting for some external force to compel you into action is surrender. Choosing to act, to confront yourself, to refine your mind and habits is power. Every day, every decision, every deliberate act is a step toward freedom. And freedom, the Stoics insist, is not a reward, it is a practice. So take ownership of your choices. Begin each day with intention. Decide now that you will act, that you will grow, that you will shape yourself before circumstance forces its will upon you. Because in those daily, quiet moments of choice, you are building the resilience, the clarity, and the strength that will allow you to face any storm life brings, not as a victim, but as a master of yourself. Fear is a constant companion. It whispers, it lingers, it waits in the shadows of your mind. Most people spend their lives running from it, pretending it doesn't exist, hiding behind distractions, routines, and empty comforts. But the Stoics teach us that fear is not the enemy, it is a messenger. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." What this means is simple but profound. Fear only has the power you give it. If you confront it, examine it, and understand it, you begin to dissolve its control over your life. Transformation demands courage, not the loud, heroic courage of movies or stories, but the quiet, persistent courage of facing yourself honestly, acknowledging what scares you and choosing to move forward anyway. Ask yourself, what are you afraid of? Failure, rejection, losing control, losing comfort? Write it down, name it, give it form. Because when fear is hidden in the shadows, it grows stronger. When fear is exposed to light, it loses its grip. Marcus Aurelius faced fear every day, knowing that life would challenge him in ways he could not predict. Yet he chose not to be mastered by it. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength is born when you stare at fear and decide that your actions will not be dictated by it. Transformation happens in these moments, when you feel the tremor of uncertainty and still take the next deliberate step forward. The truth is this: life will force you to confront fear eventually. It may come in the form of loss, betrayal, failure, or illness, and when it comes, if you have not prepared your mind, you will be shaken. But if you choose to confront fear now, to step into it willingly, you gain a kind of freedom that most never experience. You begin to see fear not as a barrier, but as a teacher, guiding you toward strength, resilience, and clarity. So take a moment to sit with your fear today, feel it fully, understand it, and then choose action. The small steps you take in the presence of fear, repeated day after day, become the foundation of a self-mastery so strong that life itself cannot easily shake it. This is the essence of transformation, not waiting for life to terrify you, not waiting for circumstance to demand change, but choosing to face what scares you before life forces you to. And remember, fear is not a flaw, it is a compass. It points to the areas where growth is waiting, where courage is needed, where true power lies. Do not run from it. Do not ignore it. Embrace it as part of the process. And in doing so, you transform yourself not in spite of fear, but through it. Transformation is not a sudden event. It is a quiet forging like steel in fire. Life does not grant resilience. It must be built, moment by moment, choice by choice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every challenge, every difficulty, every discomfort is not something to complain about. It is the very material from which your strength is made. Resilience begins with the mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. If you allow doubt, regret, and despair to rule, life becomes a storm you cannot weather. But if you practice control, discipline, and clarity, every trial becomes an opportunity. The Stoics called this inner fortress, a mind so steady, so deliberate, so unshakable that external events cannot break it. And the foundation of that fortress is habit, small, consistent, intentional actions that shape who you are. Ask yourself, what are you willing to do every day to strengthen yourself? What habits will you protect, no matter how inconvenient or uncomfortable they may be? Reading, reflection, silence, disciplined work, self-examination. These are not merely routines, they are your weapons against a chaotic world. Each time you choose them over ease, you signal to yourself and to life that you are no longer a passive observer. You are an active participant in your own transformation. Resilience is not resistance to difficulty. It is learning to move through difficulty with grace. It is waking up when life knocks you down. It is speaking to yourself calmly in the face of anger, frustration, or fear. It is the unshakable conviction that no matter what happens, you will respond deliberately, not react impulsively. This is the essence of Stoic power, to be firm in the storm without allowing the storm to define you. And remember, building resilience is not a race, it is a lifelong practice. There will be days you falter, moments when old habits tempt you back, times when the weight of life feels unbearable. These moments are tests, not punishments. They are invitations to rise, to stand, and to practice mastery once more. Each time you rise, you grow stronger. Each time you persist, you gain clarity. Each time you endure deliberately, you transform. So embrace the deliberate practice of resilience. Treat every discomfort, every challenge, every small resistance as a training ground for your mind. Because when life inevitably tests you, you will not be unprepared. You will not crumble. You will meet it with calm, with clarity, and with the quiet strength of someone who has chosen to transform before life demanded it. If there is one battlefield where transformation is won or lost, it is here, inside your mind, in the realm of your emotions. Most people think they are at the mercy of what they feel. Anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety. These emotions seem to appear unbidden, as if life has decided for them. But the Stoics teach a different truth. Your emotions are not enemies, nor are they accidents. They are signals, reflections of your judgments about the world. And when you learn to master them, you reclaim your power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is not abstract philosophy, it is practical guidance. Every time you allow irritation to dictate your words, fear to dictate your actions, or sadness to dictate your choices, you surrender your freedom. But when you pause, when you observe, when you recognize the source of your feelings, you regain control. You begin to see that nothing outside of you has power over your inner life unless you give it that power. Start with awareness. Notice the moments when your emotions surge. Observe them without judgment. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? What am I telling myself about this situation that provokes this reaction? In this quiet examination, clarity begins, and clarity is the doorway to mastery. Next, practice response over reaction. Life will throw provocations, disappointments, and surprises your way. You cannot control these events, but you can control your response. Choosing calm over panic, reason over impulse, patience over resentment. This is the work of transformation. This is the cultivation of inner strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance. And remember, mastery of emotion is not suppression. It is understanding. It is the quiet ability to sit with discomfort, to face disappointment without despair, to acknowledge fear without being ruled by it. It is the deliberate cultivation of equanimity, the mental muscle that allows you to navigate life with poise and clarity. The more you practice this, the more life loses its power to destabilize you. You begin to see that no matter the chaos outside, the storm inside can remain calm. And when your mind is calm, every action you take is deliberate. Every choice aligns with your true purpose. You are no longer drifting with circumstance. You are steering your own course. So begin today, observe your emotions, understand their origin, respond with intention, transform the way you engage with yourself and the world, because mastering your emotions is not just a step toward transformation, it is the foundation of it. When you rule your inner life, the outer world can no longer rule you. Understanding yourself, observing your emotions, confronting fear, these are all crucial. But insight alone is not transformation. The world does not reward wisdom without action. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Knowledge is meaningless if it is not paired with deliberate, disciplined action." Discipline is the bridge between thought and reality, between intention and transformation. Discipline is not punishment. It is not rigid suffering or denial of joy. It is the practice of aligning your actions with your highest values consistently, even when you do not feel like it. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To master yourself, you must master your habits, your routines, your responses. This mastery is born through repeated effort, through choosing what is right over what is easy, through showing up for yourself when no one else is watching. Begin with small acts of self-control. Wake up at the same time even when your bed is warm and tempting. Speak truthfully even when lies would be easier. Focus on your work, your study, your practice, even when distractions scream for your attention. These may seem trivial at first, but they are the foundation of your character. Each small act of discipline compounds, building an inner strength that cannot be taken from you. And understand this, discipline is not about perfection, it is about persistence. There will be days when you fail, when old habits pull you back, when excuses feel irresistible. The Stoics did not promise a life without failure. They promised the possibility of mastery through endurance. Each time you rise after faltering, each time you recommit to your practice, you reinforce the muscle of self-discipline. You grow stronger, steadier, more capable of facing whatever life demands. Discipline transforms the mind from chaos into clarity. It teaches patience. It teaches resilience. It teaches that freedom is not the absence of constraint, but the power to choose your actions deliberately, regardless of circumstance. The person who is disciplined does not react impulsively to fear, anger, or desire. They act from reason, from principle, from an understanding of who they truly wish to be. So begin now. Identify the areas where discipline is lacking. Commit to deliberate practice every day in small ways that build the life you want. Understand that each disciplined choice is a vote for your future self. And remember, this is how transformation is made. Not by waiting, not by hoping, not by chance, but by deliberate, steady, unrelenting action that shapes your character, your mind, and ultimately your destiny. Transformation requires more than discipline and courage. It requires solitude. In a world full of noise, distractions, and constant opinions, the greatest luxury, and the most powerful tool, is the ability to be alone with your own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius often withdrew into quiet reflection, not to escape life, but to understand it, to examine himself, and to confront his own mind without interference. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the deliberate act of stepping back from the clamor of the world to meet yourself honestly. It is in these moments, free from validation, free from comparison, free from distraction, that you see the patterns of your own mind. What drives you? What habits betray you? Where have you compromised? Where have you surrendered your power to external forces? These questions demand silence to be answered, and the answers are the building blocks of transformation. When you embrace solitude, you learn to rely on yourself. You realize that peace is not found in approval or external circumstances, but in the mastery of your own mind. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Solitude teaches the same principle in another form true. Freedom is not dependent on the world, but on your ability to stand firm within yourself. In solitude, you confront your illusions. You face the excuses you have hidden behind. You see fear for what it truly is. You meet the doubts that have whispered in your ear and test them against reason. And in doing so, you begin to disentangle yourself from the life that is dictated by habit, fear, or the expectations of others. You begin to step into the life that is consciously chosen, deliberate, and aligned with your highest purpose. But solitude is not always comfortable. At first, it may feel empty or unsettling. You may feel the urge to flee back to noise, distraction, or constant connection. This is normal. The mind resists self-examination because it exposes weakness, fear, and uncertainty. But each time you sit quietly, each time you confront yourself without escape, you grow stronger. You build the inner sanctuary that no external circumstance can invade. So make space for solitude in your life. Even a few quiet minutes each day can become a profound practice of self-mastery. Let silence become your teacher. Let reflection become your ally. And in this quiet, deliberate practice, you will discover clarity, purpose, and the power to transform yourself before life forces you into it. Solitude and self-reflection are powerful, but reflection alone is not transformation. Thinking without action is like sharpening a sword and leaving it in the scabbard. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that insight must manifest in deeds, for the mind is trained only when it is exercised through deliberate action. Transformation is born when what you understand in your mind translates into what you do in the world. Ask yourself, what insights have you gained in your quiet moments? What truths have you uncovered about your fears, your habits, your distractions, or your weaknesses? Now, what are you going to do about them? This is the crucial step where knowledge becomes power. Action gives shape to reflection. It turns awareness into mastery. Without action, clarity is wasted, insight is hollow, and potential goes unfulfilled. Begin with small, deliberate steps. Identify one area of your life where you have been passive, where you have let fear, comfort, or indecision dictate your choices. Then commit to a single specific action each day that challenges this passivity. Maybe it is speaking up when you would normally stay silent. Maybe it is pursuing a goal you have been postponing. Maybe it is taking responsibility for a habit you have ignored. These small actions accumulate. They build momentum. They reshape your character quietly but irrevocably. The Stoics teach that life will inevitably demand your courage and your discipline. It will confront you with trials and choices, whether you are prepared or not. By taking deliberate action now, you reduce the shock of circumstance. You are no longer a passive observer of life, you become its author. Each choice you make in alignment with your highest values is a declaration. You will not be shaped by fear, by habit, or by the whims of fortune. You will shape yourself, and understand this: action does not need to be grand or dramatic to be effective. True transformation is built on consistency, on persistence, on deliberate effort repeated over time. The person who changes slowly, steadily, and intentionally is far more powerful than the one who chases sudden breakthroughs. Life rewards persistence. Life honors deliberate mastery. So turn your reflection into action. Take what you learn in solitude, what you see in your mirror, and translate it into deliberate steps. Act with intention. Act with courage. Act with discipline. Transformation is not a distant goal. It is a daily practice, a chain of conscious choices, each one reinforcing the strength, clarity, and resilience that will allow you to stand unshaken, fully prepared before whatever life brings. Transformation is not instant. It does not happen overnight. The mind, the character, the habits that define your future are built slowly, steadily, and often invisibly. This is where patience becomes essential. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life unfolds according to its own rhythm, and that forcing change prematurely only creates frustration. To transform yourself before life forces it, you must learn the quiet power of endurance. Patience is not passive waiting. It is not surrender or resignation. It is an active, deliberate stance, a disciplined engagement with time and circumstance. Epictetus taught that we should not wish for life to be easier, but for ourselves to be stronger. Patience is the understanding that meaningful change is gradual, and that every day of deliberate practice, no matter how small, compounds into the person you are becoming. Consider the mind of someone who rushes. They chase results, seek instant validation, and are easily discouraged by obstacles. They are tossed by every emotion, every setback, every disappointment. But the person who cultivates patience moves differently. They understand that setbacks are not failures. They are feedback. Delays are not denials. They are opportunities to practice. Discipline. Resistance is not punishment, it is training. With patience, every trial becomes a tool, every struggle a teacher, and every challenge a stepping stone toward mastery. To practice patience, begin with perspective. Step back from immediate frustrations and ask yourself, will this matter in a month, a year, 10 years? Will my reaction today contribute to the person I am becoming, or will it pull me away from my purpose? Patience allows you to see beyond the immediate, beyond impulse, beyond the chaos of circumstance. It gives you the clarity to act deliberately rather than react blindly. And remember, patience strengthens resilience. It trains you to endure discomfort without losing composure, to face uncertainty without despair, and to persist toward your goals even when life seems indifferent. The Stoics understood that endurance is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, and moral. The person who masters patience becomes unshakable, capable of standing firm no matter what life delivers. So embrace patience as a cornerstone of transformation. Let it guide your actions, temper your impulses, and steady your mind. Understand that the slow, deliberate path builds strength far beyond what sudden effort can achieve. Transformation is not hurried, it is cultivated, and the patient mind, persistent in practice and unwavering in purpose, will always rise prepared, resilient, and unbroken before the tests of life. Focus is the vehicle. Most people drift through life pulled in 1,000 directions, distracted by noise, craving constant stimulation, and losing themselves in the trivial. Marcus Aurelius warned of this clearly. Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Focus is not just a skill, it is the deliberate act of aligning your attention with your purpose, the anchor that keeps you steady amidst the chaos. Life will try to scatter your attention. Social media, gossip, unnecessary comparisons, and the endless urgencies of others. These are all forces that pull you away from the person you could become. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same principle applies to attention. Mastery of life comes not from doing more, but from doing what truly matters with unbroken focus. Start by taking inventory of where your attention goes. How much of it is invested in growth, in learning, in disciplined practice? How much is wasted in distraction, in worry, in fleeting pleasures? Awareness alone is powerful because it allows you to reclaim what you have been giving away unconsciously. Each moment you redirect your focus toward deliberate action is a brick in the foundation of transformation. Focus is cultivated through practice. Begin with small exercises, dedicate uninterrupted time to study, reflection, or work. Remove distractions consciously. Train your mind to return again and again when it wanders. This is not punishment, it is strengthening. Like a muscle, attention grows stronger with repeated, deliberate exercise, and over time, this strength compounds. Your mind becomes less swayed by impulse, more capable of deliberate thought, more aligned with purpose. The Stoics teach that control over attention equals control over life. When you master where your mind goes, you master how you respond, how you act, and, ultimately, who you become. Focus is the tool that transforms knowledge into action, clarity into progress, and intention into reality. Without it, even the best insights remain dormant, even the strongest will dissipates, and even the noblest intentions are left unrealized. So take control of your attention today. Guard it as fiercely as you would guard your life, because in many ways it is. Let it flow to the work, the practice, the growth that shapes you into the person you are capable of becoming. With deliberate focus, you not only transform yourself before life forces you, you begin to bend life toward your purpose, turning chaos into clarity and distraction into mastery. One of the greatest chains that binds us is the need for approval from others, from society, from those who barely know our struggles. We crave recognition, praise, and validation, and in doing so, we surrender the power over our own minds. Marcus Aurelius warned of this subtle slavery. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. True freedom begins when you stop measuring your worth by what others think and start measuring it by the integrity of your actions. External validation is fleeting, compliments fade, praise is inconsistent, and criticism is inevitable. Yet so many live their lives shaped by the opinions of others, allowing joy, confidence, and action to be dictated by forces outside themselves. Epictetus taught that we must distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Others' opinions are not within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your discipline, your character, they are. Transformation begins when you invest all your energy in what you can truly shape, yourself. Claiming your inner authority means standing firm in your values even when it is unpopular. It means acting according to principle, even when no one is watching. It means letting the quiet voice of reason guide your life, rather than the clamor of praise, envy, or judgment from others. When you do this, you become untouchable in ways that mere reputation or external approval could never grant. You find a peace and strength that cannot be taken away. This does not mean you abandon community or ignore the perspectives of others. The Stoics valued wisdom, counsel, and reflection, but the final arbiter of your choices is not the crowd, it is your reasoned self. You build your life not to impress, but to cultivate virtue, to strengthen character, and to act deliberately. Each day you prioritize your own judgment over the fleeting judgments of others. You reinforce your independence, your clarity, and your ability to transform proactively. Understand this: the world will always offer distraction, praise, criticism, and expectation. If you tether your worth to these things, you are constantly at the mercy of circumstance. But when you release the need for external validation, you reclaim your power. You choose your path, not by applause or condemnation, but by deliberate, thoughtful, stoic intent. So begin today. Notice where you have been seeking approval instead of acting with principle. Let go of the need to be seen, liked, or understood. Place your focus inward on the cultivation of character, discipline, and resilience. As you do this, life's noise diminishes, your mind becomes clearer, your purpose sharper, and your transformation inevitable. By claiming your inner authority, you ensure that no circumstance, no opinion, and no external force can dictate the course of your becoming. Life is relentless. It will challenge you, push you, and at times knock you to the ground. Setbacks are inevitable. Failure is certain. Even the strongest, wisest, and most disciplined will encounter obstacles they did not expect. The question is not whether adversity will come, it is how you meet it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, every obstacle is an opportunity if you choose to see it that way. Too often, people allow setbacks to define them. One failure, one insult, one misstep, and they surrender their confidence, their momentum, and their vision. But the Stoics teach us a different path. The event itself has no power over you. Only your judgment does. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When life pushes you down, you have the choice to rise stronger, wiser, and more deliberate than before. Turning setbacks into stepping stones requires perspective. You must ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can this challenge sharpen my mind, my discipline, or my character? Every difficulty carries a lesson, even if it is painful. The person who understands this does not resent hardship, they embrace it. They see that discomfort, failure, and loss are not punishments, but the raw material from which greatness is forged. This approach demands patience, courage, and clarity. You will feel frustration, anger, doubt. These emotions are natural, but they are not commands. They are signals, indicators of where your attention, reflection, and action are most needed. By confronting them calmly, analyzing them, and responding with deliberate action, you transform what could have been a stumbling block into a stepping stone. Remember, resilience is not built in times of comfort. It is built in the fire of adversity. Every setback you encounter is an invitation to practice persistence, to refine your judgment, and to strengthen your inner resolve. The person who rises each time they fall is not lucky. They are prepared. They have cultivated the mind, the habits, and the discipline necessary to turn life's challenges into catalysts for growth. So when life knocks you down, and it will, do not resist the lesson. Do not dwell in regret. Step back, assess, and ask, how can I use this to become stronger? How can I act deliberately in the face of this obstacle? Transformation is not about avoiding pain. It is about converting it into power. Each challenge is a chance to sharpen yourself, and each recovery is proof that you are learning to bend life to your will rather than be broken by it. Transformation is impossible without ownership. Life will hand you circumstances, both fair and unfair. But the Stoics teach that how you respond, your choices, your actions, your mindset is always within your control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is measured by the choices he makes, not by the situations he is given. To transform yourself before life forces you to, you must take full responsibility for your existence. No excuses, no blame, no waiting for someone else to fix your path. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. When you claim ownership of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, you step out of the role of a passive participant and become the architect of your life." Epictetus taught, "No one can hurt you except through your own judgment. By accepting responsibility for your judgments, your decisions, and your discipline, you rule the external world as the master of your destiny. You reclaim your power. This means confronting the truth about yourself with courage. It means acknowledging the habits you have ignored, the procrastination you have justified, the fears you have tolerated. It is easy to blame circumstance, others, or luck. It is easy to whisper, if only, and let life dictate your identity. But those who truly transform themselves understand that excuses are the chains that keep them small. Freedom begins when you say, I am responsible. I am the one who shapes my mind, my actions, and my future. Ownership also demands action. Awareness without responsibility is incomplete. To embrace responsibility fully, you must act consistently, deliberately, and with integrity. The choices you make, even the small ones, are proof of your commitment to yourself. Each decision to act with discipline, courage, or clarity strengthens your sense of agency. Each decision to act from principle rather than impulse fortifies your character. Remember, responsibility is not a single moment. It is a continuous practice. Each day offers new opportunities to choose deliberately, to correct mistakes, to rise above fear and distraction. The person who transforms themselves does not wait for life to impose consequences. They anticipate them and respond with conscious intention. They understand that every action, every thought, every habit is a building block of the life they will lead. So take ownership today. Accept the truth of your mind, your choices, and your actions. Stop blaming, stop waiting, stop surrendering your power. When you embrace responsibility fully, you step into the role of master of your life. Transformation is no longer a distant goal. It becomes a deliberate living practice, and nothing outside of you can force it or take it away. One of the most overlooked tools for personal evolution is the practice of gratitude, not the fleeting, surface-level thankfulness for comfort or pleasure, but a deep recognition of life in its entirety, even the hardships. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." In other words, every experience, whether joyous or painful, carries wisdom. Seeing life with perspective allows you to navigate it without being tossed by impulse, frustration, or despair. Perspective shifts the lens through which you interpret events. Without it, setbacks feel catastrophic, criticism feels unbearable, and ordinary difficulties become overwhelming. But when you view life from a broader vantage point, you realize that challenges are temporary, failures are lessons, and discomfort is a natural rhythm of existence. Epictetus advised, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. The ability to step back, to observe without distortion, is a cornerstone of self-mastery. Gratitude strengthens resilience. It is a shield against bitterness and entitlement. When you recognize the value in what you already possess, even amid adversity, your mind gains clarity and stability. You begin to see opportunities that were hidden by complaint or dissatisfaction. You notice resources, abilities, and strengths that you have long ignored. In this clarity, transformation becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Practicing gratitude is intentional. Each day, reflect on what endures despite challenges, the lessons you have learned, the relationships that support growth, the strengths that have carried you through difficulty. Recognize the moments of courage you have exercised, however small. Acknowledge the opportunities that hardship has presented to refine your mind and character. This practice recalibrates your focus from what is missing to what is present, turning obstacles into instruments of self-development. Perspective and gratitude together create a fortified mindset. Life's fluctuations no longer dictate your emotional state. Instead, your choices, your awareness, and your disciplined judgment govern how you move forward. Transformation requires more than action. It requires seeing life clearly, appreciating it fully, and understanding that each moment, whether pleasant or painful, is an ingredient in your becoming. So start now. Observe your day with a lens of recognition and comprehension. Let every circumstance, every challenge, every unexpected twist teach you something. Let gratitude transform frustration into insight, and let perspective transform confusion into clarity. By cultivating this way of seeing, you strengthen your inner foundation, preparing yourself to rise above external pressures and to actively shape the life you are capable of living. Human nature tempts us to chase fleeting pleasures, instant gratification, and superficial satisfaction. Left unchecked, these urges dictate behavior, scatter attention, and erode integrity. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this, reminding himself that freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by controlling what we want and curbing what we crave. True transformation depends not on indulgence, but on the conscious direction of your impulses. Desires themselves are not inherently harmful. The problem arises when they control you, when you act compulsively, when choices are driven by fleeting attraction rather than reasoned purpose. Epictetus taught that self-mastery is not about eliminating impulses entirely, but about choosing which impulses to follow and which to restrain. The mind that governs its appetites is one that cultivates clarity, stability, and enduring strength. Restraint is an active practice. It is not denial for the sake of suffering. It is the deliberate decision to prioritize long-term growth over temporary satisfaction. Each moment you resist a habit, an indulgence, or a distraction you know weakens your purpose, you reinforce self-command. Each time you redirect energy toward meaningful effort, rather than indulgent escape, you expand the scope of your freedom. Observe the consequences of unrestrained desire. When you chase convenience over effort, opinion over principle, comfort over growth, you weaken the foundation of your character. Your choices become reactive, scattered, and inconsistent. But when you exercise restraint, you regain control. Life's rewards no longer feel like luck, and challenges no longer feel overwhelming. Every act of measured choice strengthens the architecture of your mind and refines the trajectory of your life. Developing this discipline is gradual. Begin by noticing the small urges, the habitual scrolling, the quick fixes, the unnecessary consumption. Pause. Consider your intention. Choose differently. Over time, these small, conscious decisions coalesce into a mindset where freedom is lived, not merely contemplated, where purpose, not impulse, guides each step, where you are not a passenger in your own life, but the navigator of your journey. So commit to self-governance. Recognize the seductive power of desire and meet it with reason, patience, and foresight. Each act of restraint is a declaration you will not be ruled by whims, fleeting satisfactions, or external temptations. You are building a mind that is disciplined, a character that is steadfast, and a life that is shaped deliberately rather than swayed by impulse. Transformation is forged in these choices, and the individual who masters their desires becomes unshakable in mind, unbroken in spirit, and deliberate in all action. No one moves through life without error. Missteps, miscalculations, and unforeseen outcomes are inevitable. Yet the way most people respond to failure defines whether they stagnate or evolve. Marcus Aurelius reflected on setbacks, emphasizing that the universe does not punish, it instructs. Every obstacle carries within it the seeds of opportunity. Mistakes are not the enemy, they are signposts, guiding you toward wisdom if you are willing to observe carefully. Society teaches shame in failure, urging avoidance, blame, or denial. But the Stoics remind us that growth emerges from honesty with oneself. Epictetus wrote, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. To truly evolve, you must face your errors without defensiveness. You must dissect them, understand why they occurred, and extract lessons that refine your judgment and sharpen your decision-making. Every failure contains insight. Did you act hastily? Did emotion cloud reasoning? Did comfort take precedence over responsibility? By examining these questions, you illuminate patterns that were previously hidden. Each insight gained is a tool for constructing a stronger mind, more resilient habits, and a deliberate approach to life. What once caused embarrassment or pain becomes fuel for intentional growth. Transformation demands courage in the face of vulnerability. It is easier to ignore mistakes, to bury them beneath excuses or distraction, but the individual who rises above mediocrity actively engages with their shortcomings. They allow error to provoke reflection, not despair. They treat setbacks as laboratories of learning, not verdicts of worth. The mind trained in this way becomes agile, perceptive, and equipped to navigate future challenges with composure. Begin with small evaluations. After every action that does not yield the desired outcome, pause. Consider your role, your choices, and your approach. Avoid self-recrimination, but avoid excuse-making as well. Each honest appraisal builds discernment, fortifies judgment, and strengthens resolve. Over time, these deliberate reflections create a mind that is proactive rather than reactive, analytical rather than impulsive, and prepared to transform adversity into advantage. Remember, mastery is not the absence of error, it is the response to error. The person who uses mistakes as guides rather than burdens converts life's trials into a structured path of refinement. Every misstep, every failure, every unexpected result becomes a stepping stone toward resilience, wisdom, and deliberate self-shaping. So embrace your errors, study them, learn from them. Let each one mold you into a more thoughtful, disciplined, and capable individual. By transforming failure into guidance, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are actively sculpting the person you are becoming, turning life's inevitable setbacks into instruments of enduring growth. Time is the one resource life never replenishes. It slips silently through our grasp, unnoticed, until we realize it is gone. Most people squander it chasing trivialities, endless entertainment, or pursuits that yield no growth. Marcus Aurelius urged himself constantly to value each moment. Do not act as if you had 1,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Awareness of the fleeting nature of existence is not meant to frighten, but to inspire deliberate action. Time mastery is more than scheduling. It is the conscious direction of attention, energy, and intention toward what genuinely matters. Epictetus instructed that we cannot control the length of our days, but we can control the quality of how we inhabit them. Each hour, each minute offers an opportunity to advance your purpose, refine your character, and fortify your inner strength. Squandering these moments is surrendering your power to circumstance. Begin by auditing your daily patterns. Where is your focus dissipated? Which activities consume energy but contribute nothing toward growth, wisdom, or meaningful accomplishment? Once identified, eliminate or reduce them deliberately. Replace idle routines with practices that enhance awareness, skill, and resilience. The person who governs their hours intentionally begins to build momentum, turning small, consistent efforts into monumental progress over time. Living with urgency does not mean chaos or frantic busyness. It is calm, precise, deliberate prioritization. It is the ability to distinguish between distraction and significance. Each task chosen thoughtfully reinforces self-command. Each decision to act with intention reinforces your autonomy. The Stoic understands that time is the ultimate canvas for transformation, and how it is spent determines whether life shapes you or you shape life. Furthermore, mastering time fosters freedom. When you refuse to waste it on meaningless pursuits, you create space for reflection, learning, and purposeful engagement. When every day carries direction, the mind becomes disciplined, the heart resolute, and the character steadfast. Deliberate living allows transformation to unfold naturally, as every hour compounds into resilience, clarity, and self-mastery. So treat time as the precious, irreplaceable asset it is. Observe how it is spent. Decide consciously where your focus lies. Take responsibility for each passing moment. By living with awareness and urgency, you prevent life from dictating your evolution. Instead, you accelerate your growth, ensuring that you are not merely reacting to circumstance, but actively constructing the life and the self you are capable of becoming. Life is unpredictable. Storms arise without warning. People fail, circumstances shift, and the world often feels unsteady. Most allow external events to dictate their emotions, swinging between elation and despair. But true transformation is anchored in tranquility, an inner calm that is untouched by chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find serenity. Inner stillness is not escape, it is mastery." Cultivating serenity begins with awareness of your thoughts. Notice how often your mind ruminates on worries, regrets, or what cannot be controlled. This incessant agitation creates unnecessary suffering. Epictetus instructed that peace comes when you distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Focus your energy only on what you can shape and release what lies beyond your influence. In doing so, you reclaim calm, stability, and clarity. Practical calm is strengthened through consistent practice. Meditation, reflection, measured breathing, or even deliberate pauses in action allow the mind to settle. These practices teach patience, resilience, and discernment. The person who masters their inner climate does not react impulsively to adversity. They observe, evaluate, and respond with composure. Their mind becomes a sanctuary where clarity, purpose, and strength flourish, even as the outside world swirls in unpredictability. Moreover, serenity amplifies judgment. Decisions made in agitation are rarely optimal. Choices born of fear, anger, or distraction compromise values and derail progress. By cultivating stillness, you allow reason to guide action, ensuring that every step taken aligns with long-term goals rather than momentary impulses. Transformation thrives in this environment because growth requires both insight and deliberate execution, and insight is only accessible in a calm mind. Remember, tranquility is not passivity, it is dynamic, active engagement with life from a grounded perspective. Chaos does not cease, but the mind is fortified. Setbacks do not shake the spirit. Criticism and misfortune do not derail progress. Each deliberate effort to maintain composure reinforces resilience and builds a foundation upon which enduring transformation rests. So prioritize the development of inner peace. Let your mind be the harbor where clarity, courage, and wisdom converge. Stand steady, even when everything around you wavers. By anchoring yourself amidst life's turbulence, you not only protect your energy and focus, but you accelerate your growth, ensuring that transformation is a product of conscious, unwavering strength rather than the whims of circumstance. Transformation is not a single act or a fleeting decision, it is the result of consistent patterns cultivated over time. Habits are the framework upon which character, strength, and resilience are constructed. Marcus Aurelius reflected often on the discipline of daily practice, recognizing that who we become is defined by what we repeatedly do, not by what we occasionally attempt. Each deliberate routine is a brick in the structure of a purposeful life. The foundation of meaningful habits lies in clarity of intention. Ask yourself, what qualities do you wish to embody? What version of yourself deserves to exist? Once identified, align your routines with these ideals. Epictetus emphasized that deliberate action, rooted in reason and principle, shapes destiny far more effectively than chance or desire. Habits translate your vision into reality, silently yet powerfully reinforcing the person you aim to become. Start with small, achievable actions. Grand ambitions are built on humble beginnings, waking early to read, pausing to reflect, prioritizing effort over ease. These practices may appear minor, but their cumulative effect is profound. Each repetition strengthens discipline, refines focus, and deepens resilience. Over time, the individual who honors small, intentional acts becomes unstoppable because their actions are no longer random. They are structural, reliable, and aligned with purpose. Consistency, more than intensity, defines habit mastery. Occasional bursts of effort produce fleeting results. Persistent commitment, even in modest increments, reshapes identity. Challenges will arise: fatigue, distraction, doubt, and unexpected obstacles. Yet adherence to deliberate routines reinforces autonomy and cultivates inner authority. Habits serve as silent guardians, ensuring that even amid external chaos, progress continues steadily. Moreover, lasting habits foster freedom. By automating virtue, discipline, and constructive effort, the mind is freed from constant deliberation over trivial choices. Energy is preserved for higher-order tasks, reflection, growth, creativity, and decision-making. Each habit aligned with purpose is a safeguard against regression, a tool to fortify character, and a catalyst for continuous self-improvement. So commit to constructing daily rituals that mirror your ideals. Protect them fiercely, celebrate the repetition, the structure, and the quiet accumulation of effort. Understand that transformation is less about dramatic leaps and more about consistent, intentional practices that mold behavior, fortify mind, and cultivate enduring self-mastery. Habits are the scaffolding upon which your future self is built, and by tending them diligently, you ensure that life does not shape you by default, but that you deliberately shape life itself. After reflection, discipline, patience, and deliberate practice, all the teachings converge into one undeniable truth: life does not force transformation upon the unwilling. Change is not imposed from outside, it is claimed from within. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind. Choose to use it wisely. Every thought, every decision, every action is a brick in the edifice of who you will become. Transformation is not a consequence of circumstance. It is the deliberate result of choices you make today, this very moment. The world is unpredictable. Hardship will come. People will fail you. Opportunities will be fleeting. Yet none of these external forces can shape your essence unless you allow them. Epictetus taught that freedom resides not in circumstances but in judgment. The moment you accept responsibility, seize control of your mind and act with intention, you reclaim authority over your life. You stop drifting. You stop reacting. You begin to create. Consider the cumulative effect of all your efforts: self-discipline, emotional mastery, focus, patience, reflection, and deliberate action. Each practice strengthens the next, like interwoven threads forming an unbreakable tapestry. The person who cultivates these qualities does not merely survive life, they command it. Obstacles become opportunities, setbacks become lessons, discomfort becomes growth. Each challenge encountered is fuel for deliberate evolution. Transformation is a choice, and it begins with the willingness to confront yourself honestly, to release fear, distraction, and dependence on others' approval, to embrace solitude, reflection, and consistent practice, to govern desires, master emotions, and respect the finite nature of time. It is a lifelong commitment, yet every moment invested compounds into an inner power that no fortune, failure, or chaos can diminish. So rise now. Decide today that you will not wait for life to force your hand. Take the reins of your mind. Direct your actions with clarity and purpose. Build habits that strengthen rather than weaken. Face setbacks with calm. Govern your emotions. Choose courage over comfort, reason over impulse, and growth over stagnation. Each step, however small, is a declaration. You are no longer a passive observer. You are the architect of your destiny. And in this conscious, relentless, deliberate practice lies freedom, the ultimate transformation. Not because life is easy, but because you have made yourself unshakable, resilient, and unstoppable. You have chosen to evolve before the storm arrives, and in doing so, you stand ready for whatever life brings. The path is yours. The time is now. Transform yourself, and life will bend to the force of your purpose.